Hello there, friends. Today is March 29, 2024, and today we're going to take a look at 3 different rookie cards and find out what they are worth. As you can see here, we've got the CJ Stroud rookie cards, the Optic Preview Blue Scope from 2023 Donruss. We also have the Orange Disco Anthony Richardson 2023 Prizm, and then lastly a Silver Prizm for Will Levis. I know, a bit of variety, but I think it's fun. These are all highly demanded cards that you could see when you go to a card shop or a show, so it's nice to know what they're worth. As you can see down below, I have put an offer sheet together for all of these, and this is basically my own sort of offer sheet generator. I plug in 15 recent comps, sales that are done through eBay, and then it spits out these numbers so that I know what I'm getting myself into if I'm out hunting for these cards. So I thought I'd share it with you. If you enjoy this, please let me know down below. And I would like to encourage you to use these with caution. I like to use these when I buy cards in person. I like to go to a store. I like to go to card shows and use these numbers because then I can see the card in person. I can make sure that the corners are sharp, the edges aren't soft, the surface isn't scratched or marred. I think that's really important because these numbers are based off of a variety of qualities for cards, and they just sort of offer a baseline. And if you get the best card you can find, that's where you get the most opportunity. So let's dive into this. On the right-hand side here, you can see the 15 recent comps that I gathered off of eBay. So these are then plugged into my offer generator. As you can see down below, we had a low of 119.85, a high of 227.50, and a swing of 89.82% from low to high. Key thing here is if I can see a swing between 50 and 100%, that's kind of a go-to card for me because that leaves an opportunity for a bit of profit in trading. But it's not too crazy where I'm afraid to even jump in on the market. So just based upon the swing percentage, this card is intriguing for me. Again, this is the Optic Preview Blue Scope 2023 Donruss Football, card number 339. Down below here, we can see what happens when you plug it in. Up in the top corner here, we've had 244 submissions to PSA. 188 have come back at a PSA 10. That is insanity. 77.05% is pretty crazy. So that means if you pull this card, get it graded. It's also a far cry from the more traditional blue parallel with the blue borders. That one is incredibly difficult to get graded at a PSA 10, which is a little confusing for me because both of them have sort of those blue edges to it. Clearly a difficult color to get graded in the first place. But with this Optic parallel and the blue scope, clearly it's a little easier for now. So 158.60 in the blue on the bottom left is going to be the average bid price it took to win one of these cards in auction. Next to that is 504. That's the average shipping price. And then we also have 163.64. So that's your all-in price to have it show up at your front door. I don't consider these to be fair market value for this card because it doesn't take into consideration that sellers have fees. So once you take those fees off of the top of these blue numbers here, you get the orange number. This is what sellers are taking home. So 137.26 or 137.29, I should say, is what I would consider to be fair market value because it's what the sellers are actually getting. It's what they're willing to part with the card for. And that is important because that's what we're trying to do when we're going to a card shop or a show. We're trying to get people to part with their cards, albeit we're trying to get a good deal too. Next to that, we can find my stoplight offer sheet as well. Green, yellow, red. These are percentage offer sheets in relation to the blue number. So 70% of the blue number is 111.02 here in the green. 75% of the blue number is 118.95, and 80% is 126.88. These are usually my go, slow, and stop numbers. I also like to make sure that I'm getting into the bottom third of sales, so I like to go sort this column ascending and then drop down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 127.66 gets me into the bottom third, which lines up pretty well with an 80% offer. So for me, that red 80% offer of 126.88 is my true hard stop. I generally be willing to pay up to that amount without any real concern. If I wanted to sell in the top third of sales, I go to the bottom of this list and go up 5, and we get 147.61. That would net me about a $21 profit. And if you go over to the left, this number would be what you could sell it for as a buy it now or minimum bid and still make that $21 in profit. So again, I use these numbers to buy in person. I don't like to use these numbers to buy on eBay or online because it's really going to be hard to get these numbers because those fees always inflate the price. But I'm not too worried actually about selling personally online, and that's why this 170.50 is an important number to consider. Okay? All right, so that's it for the CJ Stroud. Fair market value, $137.29. I'd be willing to spend up to $126.88, but of course I'd prefer to go closer to this green or yellow, and then I'd be willing to sell it for $147 in person. Next up, one of my favorites, the Anthony Richardson Orange Disco. I'm a huge fan of the Orange Discos from the 2023 Prizm football set. They just have really nice demand, actually. They look cool, and I think they're just a lot of fun. So this is card number 343. As you can see, we had one pretty massive high over here at $80. Everything else is pretty consistent within that $30 to $50 range or so. And again, that high starts off early in this profile here. Again, these are only 5 days worth of numbers. So the true wave and direction of this card is not really all that important because it didn't happen over a long enough time frame. But that low of 30, that high of 80 gives us 166.67% swing, which is a bit concerning. But when you take into consideration that really you've just got that one outlier, most of everything is going to be within that swing of 30 to 57 or so. That's well within that 100% or less swing that I like to see. So there is a little bit of interest for me in this card. PSA submissions, 368 have been submitted. 153 are PSA 10. That's a 41.58% return rate. 43.33 is going to be your average bid price to win this card. Seller take home, $37.29. First offer is going to be $30.33. In order to get into the bottom third, let's see where we find here. Sort of sending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $27.20. Look at that. So basically we're seeing that $80 price point really messed with the averages. And that's why I like to double check what gets me into the bottom third of sales, because that $80, which amounted to $69.10 or as far as without the fees are concerned, really skewed these numbers here up. Now, for me, since I see 27.20 gets me to the bottom third, that means I'm going no higher than this green number. This for me is a first and last offer. $30.33 in person. I might even try to offer closer to that 25 as a first offer and maybe go up to $30.33. But yeah, beyond that, if they don't want my money at that point in person, I'll find somebody who does. From the bottom, if we want to sell in the top third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that amounts to a $40 sale, about a $10 profit if you got it at that green number, or a $50 buy it now that you can see over here. All right. Next up and last up is going to be a fun one. I love the silver Prizms as well. So really we're hitting some favorites of mine in general for these cards. Will Levis' rookie card. Let's go look up here at the graph first and foremost. Again, another massive peak or two here, 119.48 and 91.86 it looks like there. Number's a little skewed, I can't really see it. But this brings up a very good point. People are hunting a perfect card. So that is why, again, I like to use these numbers in person, because it's hard to make that perfect selection when you are buying online. Clearly, there was a bit of a price fluctuation here. This card must have looked great, must have really looked great for them to spend that amount of money. Otherwise, everything else is down in that $30 to $40 range. In fact, you see that massive swing, 298.27%. That probably means I'm not in on this card unless I can get in at that first offer or below here. So the low is 30, the high 119.48. And down below, 56.66 is going to be the average bid for this card. I'm going to tell you, I'm getting nowhere near that. 48.86 is going to be average take home. 39.66 is going to be first offer. I'm going to bet that the bottom third comes in much lower than that. Let's find out. Sort ascending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, just as I suspected. $34.18. Just because there were two huge outliers in this 99, 91, and 119, that means for me, I'll work my way up to $39, sure, but I'm starting at $34 as a first offer. And if it's a beautiful looking card, sure, I'll spend $39, but I'd really like to be closer to that bottom third price point. Again, that's why it's always important to check the bottom third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $53.49 gets you into the top third of sales. If you got in at 40, got out at 53, fine, you made a $13 profit if you actually have a really nice card. But obviously, people are looking to get this card graded, and that is the biggest selling point. Is it perfectly centered? Are those corners sharp? Do you have soft edges or not? And is that surface scratch free? So that is what these cards are worth. Will Levis, fair market value, according to this, although I would say it's lower, $48.86. $37.29 for the Anthony Richardson. And this one, I would say the CJ Stroud right now is probably the one that I would target the most. $137.29. It had the most consistent graph. Had that sub 100% swing that I like to look for as far as consistency in sales is concerned, where you still have a little meat on the bones. Thank you so much for watching. If this helped you know what your cards are worth or what the cards you're targeting are worth, then let me know. Hit that like button. It really helps the channel to grow. Take care, friends.